Grab your yoga mats. It's time for a web workout. Today on Call for Help.
I hope these people can help me with my computer. A technician will be with you in 4 hours.
4 hours?
You can upgrade for just $5,000.
What?
The Universal Serial Config Board should be set to ID 6.
I need that in plain English. Help!
Leo Laporte to Call for Help. May I help you? Got dueling yoga mats here. Hi, how are you? Welcome to Call for Help. I'm Leo Laporte. So good to have you. Yes, we're going to do yoga on the show today and a whole lot more. Let's welcome our posers here. Our posers. Andy, what is that called? The Warrior? Andy Warrior Pose Walker?
It's called the Cyber Walker.
Cyber Walker.
And Amber Downward Dog MacArthur. We're going to have some fun.
Yeah, we're going to have lots of fun today.
And this has to do with technology because you're learning how to do it on the web?
Well, actually what it is, it's a yoga studio in New York City, and they offer live yoga or yoga that's already been done live, and you can actually download it and save it and buy the classes. So you can do them at home. Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Just what I need, yoga. You can tell I do a lot of yoga. Also, if you're doing the web, if you're doing a website, you need to know about CSS.
Yep, and we have a guest coming in today, Daniel Burka, who's going to talk to us a little bit about CSS.
Cascading style sheets.
Yep.
Well, I thought CSS was like a forensic science show or something.
Yeah,
like that.
CSS Toronto. It's the new show. They got a little bit wrong. It's a bunch of web designers going around saying, where's the code? Where's the code?
Exactly.
Also, some new software from Google we'll talk about. Andy's got that, our free file today.
Yeah. Lovely.
Cool.
Tasty. Fantastic.
Well, how are you all? Did you have a good time off? Little weekend time, a little relaxation, yeah?
Yeah. Amber hurt her knee, so not much running, but we're going to change that.
Oh,
yeah.
You broke first, huh?
No, I'm ready to run again now.
Are you?
Yeah.
And I have new shoes.
Okay, I'll wave as you go by. There they go again.
Exactly.
Let's get to our first call today.
All right, we have Don from Kirkland Lake, Ontario.
Oh, great. Let's make the walk over to say hello to Don. Ladies and gentlemen, Basil's got the day off. It's Dengo! Zlatvi! Zdravo! Zing bong! Hello! How are you, Don? Good to see you. Or hear you, anyway. Welcome, Don. Don, are you there? Hello, Don! Maybe I should say Zdravo. Zdravo, Don!
Hey, Leo, welcome to Canada.
It worked! He must be Serbian. Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it. What can I do for you today?
Hi, I got a Dell Dimension 2400. It's currently got a 2.4 gigahertz Celeron processor.
Okay.
Can you recommend something faster and more productive?
Yeah. Almost anything. No, I'm just kidding. I have to say, I'm not a big fan of the Celeron processors. Not my favorite thing in the world. I mean, they're not awful, but I think you could probably do better. Do you know off the top of your head if the Celeron or the 2400 can be upgraded processor-wise? Did they say it can handle other processors?
In the book, it says it can handle a Pentium 4, but my nephew argues that with me, so...
Pardon me?
You're the expert.
Yeah,
so.
I think you'd get a big improvement on the Pentium 4. Basically, the Celeron is, their budget processor, and really it is a Pentium 4, but they kind of limit its capabilities, to reduce the amount of level 2 cache and stuff. They slow it down so that it's not as speedy. So even getting a 2.6 gigahertz Pentium to replace the 2.6 gigahertz Celeron, is it 2.6? Is that what you said? 2.4.
2.4.
4, yeah. Even a 2.4 Pentium 4 would be faster, even at the same clock speed. If now don't go too much faster because you did get the budget Dell. You got the basic Dell.
Okay.
And so, for instance, you can't put another video card in there. It doesn't have an AGP slot. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
That stinks.
Yeah, that stinks. It's not that, how much did you pay for it? A few $100s, right? Yeah. I mean, it's a great deal, the 2400. Let me see if they have one on this. I think they don't think they do those anymore. I think they've moved on to the next generation. But it was a great deal. It was a low price computer, but a couple of things you gave up. No AGP slot means you can't upgrade the video card. It's a slower bus, and you got a slower processor. So the problem is, even if you put a faster processor in there, you're not going to get a faster card. The bus isn't going to get any faster. The hard drives aren't going to get any faster. You'll see some improvement. I'll tell you, the first thing I would do, how much RAM do you have in that thing?
I threw in a half a gig. I had 640.
Oh, good man. That's the first thing I would do. Get to 512 at least. You won't even past that point. That's going to make the biggest improvement on XP. Okay. Then the next thing, yeah, maybe a new processor. How much have you priced the, let's say, a 2.6 cell Pentium?
Maybe you could tell me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go to my favorite pricing site. Now, this is mostly U.S. stores, so it'll probably give us the price in American dollars. But let's see here. Pentium 4, if we're talking a 2.4 gigahertz, you know, around $118 for 2.4 gigahertz Prescott, which is their top of the line. Actually, it's funny. The Prescott is actually a little cheaper than some of the slower.
Didn't you say 2.6? I currently have a 2.4.
Yeah. All right. You want to go a little faster?
Yeah.
Let's go $128 for a 2.6 gigahertz.
Great.
Now, as I said, even a 2.4 would be faster, but this will be considerably faster. Yeah. You know, $100, $127. That's U.S. That's not a horrible amount of money to pay for. You know, you probably get a 20, 30%, maybe even more increase in speed on that. You might even get a 50%. What is it that seems slow to you when you use your 2400?
Well, for a while there, when it originally only came with 128 megs of RAM.
That's the biggest thing, yeah.
Yeah. So I noticed when I added the half a gig in there, now you don't have to click 100 times to get something to actuate.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, absolutely. I'm glad you did that. Yeah, if you wanted to spend another couple $100 on it, that's probably what I would do next. What do you think, Andy? That's probably the next thing to do. Since you can't do the video card.
No. I'm just looking at the pricing again on eBay. It's like $72 US for a 2.4 gigahertz. I know it's not. He wants something better, but
yeah, it's
you know
not
what?
much.
You shouldn't spend more than 50% of the price you paid to upgrade the system, because you can go get a better one, a new one.
That's a very good point,
in
too.
about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I guess that's the main point I'm saying. The 2400 isn't going to be able to be sped up too much, but if you have another $150 to put in a faster processor, I think just replacing the cell around is going to make a pretty big difference.
Yeah. Or the other thing is wait 6 months until the prices come down.
Yeah, you'll be able to get an 8 gigahertz. Although Intel has now announced that they're not going to do a 4 gigahertz, which is kind of a surprise. They've said, we're not getting we have heat problems. We're not getting the kind of performance we'd like to get out of our existing line. We're going to work on the existing line, not increase the clock speeds, but improve the performance on the existing lines with more cache, better design, and focus there. And I think that's probably wise. I don't know if anybody really needs a 4 gigahertz part, especially if it throws off as much heat as a 100-watt light bulb in there. I mean, that's that's terrible. Hey, Don, I thank you so much for calling.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, too.
Great.
Take care.
Ciao.
Hey, folks, have you got a Gmail account? Everybody wants a Gmail account. They're auctioning them on eBay now. Well, if you've got a Gmail, I just invented a new thing.
Gmail.
If you've got an email, Gmail, let's walk all over here and see what we got going here. If you've got a Google Gmail account,
yes, sir,
you're going to want a Gmail Notifier. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. Our free file of the day when we come back with Andy.
Right.
All we want to do is pump you up.
We're pumping you up here on Call for Help. Welcome back. Andy Walker has our free file of the day. You've got Gmail.
Yes.
Google's email, it's the gigabyte of storage and the searching and all that stuff has become the hottest thing out there. People are selling their Gmail invitations on the eBay and stuff like that, which is funny because, I think by now Google probably could open it to the public, but they say, why bother when everybody's just,
They're excited about it.
So excited
selling
about
it on, exactly.
But is there anybody who doesn't have a Gmail account yet? I think everybody. You don't have one, Zdenko? No. I'm getting you one.
Send you an invite.
I know somebody, I'll
probably
help you.
Zdenko@gmail.com is probably available still.
Not anymore.
Yeah, you want? Yeah, well, everybody has a Gmail because when you have a Gmail account, you get invitations and people are spreading them around. And I think Google is probably just saying, why bother opening this to the public?
Yeah. It's like word of mouth. In fact, one of our viewers said, "Hey, can I have a free Gmail account?" And I said, "Yeah,
why
sure.
not?
Here you go."
Oh, good. Yeah, Andy at callforhelptv.com. That's the address.
That's me.
You'll be long gone. So we have a program that works with Gmail.
Yeah. Google's turned into, yes, it's a search engine, but it's also a software developer, and it's released all these new tools for all of its cool services.
Yeah.
So I have something called Gmail Notifier, which means, Gmail's like a web-based mail program.
It's like Yahoo Mail or Hotmail. Yeah, you have to go to the site to see if you've got mail.
So why not get a program that says, hey, you got Gmail? So Gmail Notifier, available direct from Google.
You've got Gmail.
And when you install it, it turns into a tiny little icon down here on your system tray. that actually has got a big exclamation mark because it's angry at me right now.
I mean, it must mean you have... Oh, it says you can't connect.
Can't connect, but I'm going to double-click on it, and it'll take me to the Gmail site. And because I preloaded it with my user ID and password, it takes me straight there.
Oh, that's kind of nice. You don't have to log in anymore.
Right. Yeah. And just like, your instant messenger will pop up and say, you have, so many Hotmails, it actually pops off and tells you how many Gmails you have occasionally.
When there's new mail.
When there is new mail. And the other exciting little feature about this is, when you go to on the web page and you click on the Mail To link, a link to email somebody on a website. In fact, I'll go to cyberwalker.com, and when you click on it, says, to email a webmaster. If you click on this, you can typically will go to Outlook or whatever to
whatever
send.
your default email client is, right?
But this has a function to take you to your Gmail account.
Oh, that's nice.
So if you right-click on it, you can actually specify in options down here to use the Gmail for your Mail To links, and then you can pick the browser too.
Oh, that's really cool.
Which is kind of fun.
And they know all about Firefox and Mozilla, our favorites.
Right, our favorites. So I think just detects the browsers on your system. So in fact, if I click on Email Our Webmaster, which is a mail link, click, bang, bang. Now I'm directly in Gmail.
That's pretty cool.
And it's pre-populated the destination email address.
And it's free from Google.
It is free from Google.
They are becoming a software
house. Love
house,
Google. They're my new favorite company. They're
you
cool.
in the stock market. Man, I wish I bought some Google stock. No, I can't do that. Hey, it's time for another call.
Oh, super duper.
Super duper. Will you help me with this one?
Sure.
Let's see who Amber has for us on the line right now. Amber?
All right, we have another call. We have Dylan from Brandon, Manitoba on the line.
Dylan from Brandon, Manitoba. Hello and welcome to the show, Dylan.
Thank you very much. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing excellent.
Well, what can we do for you now?
Well, I just wanted to know if there was a way to speed up my DSL connection within my PC.
Yes and no. Maybe, I guess, would be the best answer. Most of the time, you're using Windows?
Yes, I am. I've got XP.
XP? Yeah. In the days of Windows 95, there were definitely some things you could do to make it more compatible with high-speed internet. When Windows 95 came out, everybody was on dial-up. And actually, ironically, they optimized Windows 95 for the corporate environment for LANs, and there were some settings you could change in 95 to make it speedier for dial-up. And that spawned a whole generation of programs that said, we'll speed up your internet by changing a few settings on your system. Those programs haven't gone away, even though most modern operating systems do a pretty good job of optimizing themselves for your situation. So if you have XP or Mac OS X or Linux, most of the time they're going to give you as much speed as you can get. Now, there is one setting you can change, one obscure little setting you can change that could sometimes make a difference. It's called the TCP receive window. And I'm going to give credit here to my buddy John Navis of the Navis Cable Modem DSL Tuning Guide. We used to have him on the screensavers all the time. In fact, you see he has a little screensavers logo on here. I discovered John many years ago. This guide has consistently been the best place to go for information about getting the most out of high-speed internet. And the one thing he says that matters is this TCP receive window. He says all the other things people talk about are just old wives' tales, but this can make a difference. And the reason is it's optimized for a fairly low latency connection. That means that the way it comes out of the box, it's optimized for a pretty fast connection to the internet. The way you could tell what your latency is by using the ping command. You ever see the ping command?
I think I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes when you play games, they'll tell you what your ping is. If I go ping yahoo.com, this is in the command line, what it does is it sends to Yahoo basically a message that says, hello, and then Yahoo says, hello, back. And the round trip time from my sending the hello to getting back their hello is the ping time. In this case, you see it's around 100 milliseconds. That's pretty low latency. Anything much higher than that might be bad. So first thing you do is you check your latency. And with a variety, by the way, not just one, but with a lot of different, because the latency can be impacted by that server. So let's also ping Google. And then that one's actually quite a bit faster. So Yahoo was, in fact, a little bit slow. That's 45, 46, 47 milliseconds. So I have a 45 millisecond average there, a 98 millisecond average there. That would be called low latency. High latency is anything above 200 milliseconds, and anything between 100 and 200 is normal. Windows is optimized for about what I've got. So in my case, there'd be no optimization I could do. However, if you go to the Novice Guide, you'll see that there are some optimizations for low latency, that is very slow situations, and for normal latency. And you can either download these as just little reg files. Download the reg file that's right for your operating system. And you can see in the reg file, it's just a little bit of, it's doing what you could do if you did a reg edit. It's adding this global max top window size, which is the TCP receive window, and it's making it this size, 7FFF. So to kind of put this in lay terms, what this receive window is, it's how long the machine waits before it sends more information along. And if the window's too short, it may be sending data too often. If it's too long, it may miss a bad connection. So you want to kind of have it just about the right size. That's about the one thing you can optimize. There are a lot of urban myths like time to live, and he debunks them in here. This says that's not going to help you at all. So the one thing that you might want to tweak, and I don't know if you'll see much, you know, it really depends on whether you've got it's mostly of value to a high latency situation. If there are long lag times, Windows is not waiting long enough and is sending stuff more often than it has to. So by increasing the wait time, you'll improve your results. But in most cases, it's not going to make a big difference. Okay. But you know, this is an easy thing to try. Now, if you say that the reason, it depends why it's slow, of course, and I probably should have mentioned this at first. I mean, if you have a fast machine, you know, then the amount of time it takes to draw the screen isn't relevant. But if your machine is slower, sometimes the browser program is slow, and that can make your system look slow because it's taking a long time to draw the screen. I presume you have a fast enough machine, right?
Yeah, it's fairly new. I just got it within the last couple months.
Yeah. Are you just not getting the results you think you ought to be getting?
Well, my friend's system is quite a bit faster when it's online compared to mine.
Right.
He's using cable. So.
Okay. You can't compare apples and oranges. He might actually have a faster provider.
Yeah.
If somebody who had the same service you did and lived near you had the same results, you know, DSL is impacted by a lot of other things. For instance, how far you are away from the central office, how many splices there are in the line. All of those things can make a big difference too. Okay. So, and you can't help that. There's nothing you can do unless you want to move. So this is the one thing you can do is increase the TCP receive window. It might make some difference. Probably it won't. In most cases, you've got to live with what you've got. Sometimes, and the one thing you might be able to do is you can appeal to the phone company. Sometimes the phone company, this happened to me, this is how I know it, will use automatic testing equipment and say, you know, this guy shouldn't really be going this fast, and actually slow you down. He's too far from the central office. There's no way he's getting reliable service at that speed. We're going to slow him down. I appealed. Actually had my internet service provider do it. And they said, no, we think he's got a good connection. Why don't you try bumping it up? They did, and it works fine. So that might be something you could try. You should ask your internet service provider, am I being artificially slowed down by the phone company, or am I getting everything I should be getting?
Okay.
But cable, frankly, is faster in many cases than DSL.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call, Dylan.
No problem.
So glad you watched. The Navis cable, I always say his name wrong. He says it's Novice. The Novice cable modem, he pronounces it wrong, but what can I say? Cable modem tune-up guide, cable-dsl.home.att.net, but I'll tell you what, we'll put it on the website because it's the longest darn URL ever. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Coming up next, we're going to get the scoop on how to save time when designing and formatting web pages using style sheets. Yes, this is the latest, greatest thing. I've got to learn about it, too. CSS to the rescue. Right after the break. Stay right here.
Hello there, nice to see you.
And the whole Mozilla thing came up that you guys did a lot of time behind.
Yeah. Welcome back to Call for Help. These days, cascading style sheets, CSS, are changing the way many websites are designed, including my site, and of course maybe some better sites. I mean, pretty much all the biggies, ESPN, Yahoo, Wired News. So what is CSS? What is different? Should you care? Daniel Burka is here. He cares. He's here to tell us all about the stylish capabilities of CSS. Welcome, Daniel. So you did some design for the Mozilla project for their website.
Yeah, recently we took part in redesigning the whole Mozilla.org website.
It's a good site, yeah. Do they use CSS?
Yes, definitely, extensively.
Pretty much everybody does now.
Well, people who are, know what's going on are doing it.
Why?
Yeah, for sure.
What is CSS and what does it do for you?
Well, the big benefit of CSS is that you're separating style from content. So you can code a website, you can code all the HTML meaningfully in, the meaningful tags, header tags, use tables for actually showing tables of data, that kind of thing. And then do all of your styling, so the colors and your fonts, that kind of thing, all in your style sheet. So you're separating the two.
So you don't have to see all that stuff in the body of your website. Does it make it easier to change the look, too?
That's one of the huge benefits, is you've got a central repository of all of the styles on your website. So say you're styling maybe a definition list, which is, one of those, tags you can use in HTML. If you set in your style sheet, this is how I want my definition list formatted, every definition list on your entire website will be formatted the same way. So if you want to change that in the future, you change it in one place, it changes it on every page of your website.
Am I stuck with one definition, or can I have multiple definitions?
Definitely. You can have multiple definitions.
So I can have this way and that way. And
exactly. You can use classes, they're called, and IDs to say, this specific definition list or any definition list that, in this context should look like this.
I see.
That kind of thing.
So how does it help the end user as far as usability-wise?
Well, the end user, often you won't see a big difference, looking at a website, that there is a difference. A table-based, layout that doesn't use any CSS and a CSS-based layout, can often look very similar.
Yeah.
But the big differences come, number one, that it's a lighter. You can, because you're not saying in every single instance what something should look like, you have less code. So you
mean your pages are actually smaller?
Definitely smaller file sizes. So
well, that's good.
That's great.
Yeah, you can often take a page that has maybe even 60 kilobytes of HTML. Reduce that using CSS. You can bring it down significantly. At least half of that. So particularly if you're on dial-up connection, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Can you show us an example of
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the Mozilla site that we were just talking about. So this is the page with, the HTML and the CSS all together. So, you get the page, this is what it looks like.
That's what the user sees.
Yeah.
This is what a user who has a visual web browser, like most people do, who can see just fine, will see when they come to the website. And then here's the page without any style. So, here we go. This is just simple formatted HTML, no styles at all.
The web used to look like that.
Yeah.
This is the way the web was intended to work. That you use tags that are appropriate to what you're showing. So a paragraph of text is in a paragraph tag, for instance.
Yeah.
So we can go back to coding like that with CSS because we can add all that style in later.
So do you think, as far as CSS, should you try not to make it too complicated, though, and too many different styles? It'll start to get a little bit messy? Or?
Well, it gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, a big site like Mozilla, there's a lot of CSS there, and, as much as possible, you try to reuse the same formatting. So, say, if we go back here to Mozilla, maybe, the big blue box here on the main page, you might remember, we call it key point. And anywhere on the site that we want, something formatted like that, we just say, do it in a key point box.
Okay.
So you'll get that light blue background,
everywhere.
you'll have the text be this size, you'll have the...
Precisely.
I get it.
Very cool.
And another big benefit to this is also in terms of accessibility. So, in the same way you build, a wheelchair ramp to a good store, people appreciate that who need it.
Yeah.
The same thing is a big benefit here for people who don't have don't use a visual web browser. So someone who's blind or is visually impaired will often use what's called a screen reader. And because we're coding, with code that makes sense and we're not enforcing a lot of style in our HTML, that page will actually make more sense to people.
So the screen reader throws out the styling and just looks at the content.
Exactly.
Is there a tool that makes this easy to do, or do you have to hand code this? How did you work on the Mozilla page? What did you use?
Well, I code by hand.
You did?
I'm mostly using home site just because it has nice color coding.
Right.
That's right, from Macromedia. There are tools, though, that will help you do CSS. I think the new Dreamweaver has CSS in it. And if you want to code by hand but want a little bit of help, I've used TopStyle before, which is also very popular for coding CSS.
Okay, so how hard is it? I mean, in terms of someone learning to actually code CSS?
It's quite easy. It's just a matter of thinking about things differently. I think
Let's see some CSS,
sure.
just to see what it looks like.
Sure. Well, this is actually HTML that's linking to CSS.
So this is the web page content.
Correct. This is the content of the website. I brought this as an example of different ways to link to style sheets. There are numerous ways to do it. The best way to do it is to link to external style sheets. So if we look at the tags here that start with the word link, these link to 2 different style sheets.
Okay.
So
it loads it in before the page gets loaded in. The browser sees it.
That's right. So that's pulling in, the styles from a file that has a .css extension.
Let me see the .css file. What does that look like? Can you show us that?
I'll have to open it.
Right.
We've got a little bit of time here. I think so. So here's a CSS file.
And that's pretty simple, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's very simple. So you've got a selector, it's called, which is the first part. It says which HTML tag is this going to format.
Yeah.
So the first one's formatting the whole body of the website. And then, inside of that, we can set, what font we want to use, how big should that font be.
So unless it's overridden, this will be the default font style and the default size for the whole site.
Exactly.
Unless, as you see down below with H1 or feature, it's overridden by something else, a different color or a different margin or something.
Exactly. That's what makes them cascading as well, is that, if for a style further down in the style sheet changes something that was set earlier in the style sheet, it'll flow over top of what was set before.
So you create the style sheet with the most general styles at the top and then the more specific styles
Precisely.
down below.
And you can even do multiple style sheets. And, you can, the Mozilla site, for instance, has 4 style sheets.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so, the one that you declare first in your head tag in the HTML will start the formatting, and then, but if you change something further down in one of the other style sheets, it'll flow over top of that style and override it.
Okay. So what are, we had talked before about some books that would help beginners maybe learn a little bit about CSS. What are some of those books?
Well, I think I'd really recommend Dan Cederholm's book, which is called, hold on, I'm going to forget the title now.
Web Standard?
Web Standard Solutions.
Okay.
So I think that's a really great guidebook because he talks both about the theory, which is a bit what we've discussed today, as well as lots of practical applications and examples. As well, he doesn't show just one way of doing it. He shows 5 or 6 ways that and he shows the pros and cons of each.
It may seem a little overwhelming at first, but it really does simplify in the long run the design of a web page. And a lot of tools, I use Dreamweaver, make it a lot easier for you. You just design the styles, it applies, and you don't have to think about it.
Definitely, yeah.
Daniel, it's great. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Daniel.
You want to see more of Daniel's work? Check out silverorange.com. That's your website, silverorange.com.
Yep.
And take a look at our show notes, too. We have all the information at callforhelptv.com, including a link to
we'll put a link to that
book.
that book as well,
okay,
so people
great.
can check it out for sure.
All right, time for a quiz. Let's see how smart you guys are, all right? Pop quiz. Our question today, I didn't know the answer to this one. What does D2D stand for? Mikey came up with this one. Is it data to disk, disk to disk, dusk to dawn, or a Star Wars robot? D2D. There should be another. D2D2. Get to the website. We'll talk about it a little later on when Call for Help continues. Hey, welcome back to Call for Help. Onwards and upwards, another time. Another call. Time for another call. Another time for another call.
Yep.
Yes. Amber, thank goodness you're there.
I'm
Save
here.
me. Save me.
Yeah. We have Gennaro from Niagara Falls, Ontario on the line.
Oh, great. Hi, Gennaro. How are you?
How are you?
I'm very well.
Oh, I'd like to say welcome to Canada, eh?
I love it.
Yes.
Well, you're right on the border, aren't you? If you look across, can you see the United States on the other side?
I sure can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A little smoggy over there, though, isn't it?
A little smoggier, yeah, but it's there.
Well, I'm so glad you're watching the show. I really
Great.
appreciate it.
I used to watch you on Screensavers. I loved it then, too.
Cool. Well, there's people you can see looking on the other side, just trying to see your TV, looking over your, hey, Gennaro, turn up the television. I can't see it. All right, what can we do for you today?
Simple question. I'm using Windows 98 and 2000.
Okay.
And I was wondering if I could change the quantity of documents displayed in the document list from the Start menu.
You mean the recent documents? Or
yes.
My document? So like the ones that you've recently edited?
That's right.
My recent documents.
Exactly.
In XP, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And yeah, you'd think there'd be a setting somewhere to change this. For one thing, you'd think there'd be a setting to make it 0, because some people don't want anybody to see this.
Sure.
And I actually like it to be longer, because this is how I navigate often through Windows, is I just go to, because you always end up working on the same documents over and over.
That's right.
It's hidden away in a registry key.
Okay.
Now, you're using Windows 98, you said?
Yeah, Windows 98 and 2000.
Okay, I don't have either one here.
Okay.
But there's a couple of ways to do it. In Windows 2000, and I think, certainly in XP, I think in 2000, maybe in 98, there's something called a policy editor.
Okay.
In Windows 98, it was called PolEdit. in Windows 2000 is gpedit.msc, and you run it. And this actually, now this is only in professional, folks, so don't get all excited. If you're using home, you can't do this. But this actually is amazing. This allows you to change all sorts of settings that are not normally visible. This is designed for the system administrator in a large company to modify these settings. And if you go to user configuration, administrative settings, start menu, you can change all these parameters, including the number of documents in the start menu, whether it's cleared regularly, all sorts of things. I mean, these can all be changed from this policy editor. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to show you how you can do it, because you have 98. In 2000, this would probably work for you. If you have home, also, you're going to have to use regedit.
Okay.
Have you ever used regedit?
Yes, I have.
All right. So I'm going to use the 32-bit form of regedit here, regedit 32, because I'm using XP. You just use regedit. Yeah, I'm going to show you that again, folks, because I went really quickly. You go to Start, Run. See down there? Start, Run. You click on that. That gives you a command line. And I just typed regedit here, or in my case, regedit 32, which is a 32-bit version for Windows XP. And once you run that, then you're going to have this registry editor, which is a way of modifying basic system settings. Microsoft never intended you to look at this. Yeah, I'm not showing you this, Gennaro. You don't know a thing.
I can't see it.
You don't know anything. It's So you're going to go to H key. I think it's the same. You're going to have to play with it in Windows 98 to find it.
Okay.
H key. I'm looking at my notes here. H key current user. Oh, actually, most of the stuff when you modify the user interface happens here. H key current user software, Microsoft, Windows, guess what, of course, current version. I don't know why they do this, but they do this current version thing. And then we're going to go down to policies, and then Explorer. And now in this case, you're going to want to actually create a new, now be careful on this, because you're not using the same version of Windows as I am, so I don't know if this is going to work for you exactly the way you want it. But I'm going to create a new dword value. And value is going to be called max recent docs. And then I'm going to set this dword value to some number. It's a hexadecimal, by the way, which means, well, here, I'll change it to decimal. And I'm going to set it to 20, let's say. So that means I'll be able to have 20 now documents stored in my most recent documents. So that's basically how you do it. I'm going to have to check the, I'll tell you what, I'll put in the show notes the Microsoft Tech Note where they explain this.
Okay.
They'll probably have, it's probably the same in 98, but just in case, check to make sure it's the same.
Okay.
2000 and this works in XP anyway.
Good.
Okay?
Okay, Leo.
Hey, thank you, Gennaro. It's really good to talk to you.
You too.
Wave at my friends across the falls.
I will.
Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
In just a couple of minutes, folks. By the way, you'd have to restart Windows or log out to get that to change to take effect. We've got Andy all psyched up to give you more tips on how to max out Windows to run even faster. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Call for Help. Andy's here to show us how to make our PC performance sing by tweaking system settings to optimize Windows. Sounds like a mouthful. Tweaking
Were you
system
an
settings to optimize
opera singer?
No. No. Can't you tell? But this is going to help us speed things up. Now, the other day we did MS config, we did disk clean, we did disk defrag, and we showed you how to use Windows Update. What do you got for us today?
Well, these are pretty advanced tips. These are sort of one step. The high end. You wouldn't do these every day, but this is kind of a fun little, like, reach inside the machine and pull out its heart kind of tips.
Are we going to put it back in after we do that?
Promise.
Okay.
Promise.
Sounds scary.
We talk a lot about updating drivers. You know, that's one way to update your system to improve performance sometimes. What we never talk about is updating chipset drivers.
Wow. Okay. So they have chipset is what? The chips on the motherboard?
Yeah, all the little chippy thingies on there in the circuit.
They have drivers too?
There is a remarkable number of them actually. Let's have a quick look at where you're going to see your chipset drivers.
A driver, for those who don't know, is simply a program that lets Windows talk to a piece of hardware. So Windows doesn't have to know about every possible piece of hardware. All it has to do is be able to find a driver for it, and it can talk to it, even if it never heard of it before.
It's kind of a translator.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, yeah.
So let's click on Start, and we're going to go all the way up to Control Panel, and we're going to go into our System area,
The system control panel.
And
it's all happening here, baby.
And then we're going to click on hardware.
Hardware.
And there's a thing called Device Manager. This is a very handy place that a lot of people should go check out. It's an inventory for all the things on your system.
Basically, this is a list of drivers.
Yeah, it is, essentially. And if you know, there's all kinds of different entries here, but one of the cooler, the way the chipset sort of drivers live is under System Devices.
Oh,
so you're going to see all kinds of weird things. You're probably not going to recognize a lot of these things, but there's the PCI bus, and there's the system board, and the blah, blah, blah. It goes on. You don't have to update these drivers individually, luckily. Very often what will happen is your PC manufacturer will issue a chipset driver update.
Okay.
So in the case, we run Dells here in the studio, and so what I did was I went to support.dell.com, and I entered. I can enter a service tag, which is a number on the back of most Dells that uniquely identifies it.
If you built your own, you'd be going to the motherboard manufacturer.
Yeah, you go to Asus or Intel or somebody like that. But once you go to the downloads area and you ask, what kind of downloads are available for my machine, you're actually going to see in the list.
Oh, look at all those.
There's loads and loads of different drivers, but there's actually a chipset driver available.
There is. So I thought you were making this up the whole time.
No, sir, I don't lie.
I'll be danged.
So you can download this. Again, usually it's an executable that you run. It'll update automatically. But it's very few people know to do that, and it's one of the key things to actually improve system performance. It removes a lot of the hardware bugs that you may have.
You'd be surprised at how many problems we address here that could be fixed by something like
just by a basic chipset driver update. Yeah.
All right. So what else can we do? Can we update anything else on the system?
Yes, sir. We can. There's something called the BIOS, Basic Input-Output System, which is sort of programming that runs before Windows ever wakes up. It kind of keeps control of all the bits and pieces inside the machine. It keeps the time and the date and hard drives and stuff like that. So the BIOS is software that lives inside a special chip called the CMOS chip. And so we need to update that every now and then because, especially if you have RAM problems, you're adding more RAM on an older machine, sometimes a BIOS update helps the RAM perform better. So all kinds of other things you can do.
My advice is not to do a BIOS update unless you know that there's something wrong and you want to fix it and you know it'll fix it, because there is a risk.
You mess up, you're in big trouble, buddy.
you made a very expensive doorstop, because it's kind of hard to recover from a BIOS update failure because you can't start the machine again.
Right.
You're all going to have to take it in.
Typically what happens is when you get a BIOS update, it's an executable that makes you create a floppy disk.
Right. And follow those instructions carefully.
Yeah, very carefully. And if it says, do not unplug your machine, especially in a laptop, don't. Don't let it run off battery.
Listen to it. Believe them when they say, because I've made more than one doorstop in my time.
That's right.
But on the other hand, it can make a big difference.
That's right.
Yeah.
One final tip. Again, this is sort of a bit of an esoteric tip, but it's worth saying. We talk about, people say, if I move my virtual memory, the memory on the hard drive that the system uses when it runs out of memory, the swap file, move it from a physical machine, from one physical drive to another. So take it off C and put it on, if you have a second hard drive, put it on your E or your F drive.
That can make a big difference, yeah.
I don't know if we have time.
Did you do it here? Yeah, real quickly. We're running out of time. Here we go. Nice some room on here. I always like to see Andy do some heavy lifting.
If we open up the system here, you're going to see that there's multiple hard drives in here, and they're connected to two separate IDE controllers. So basically, your C and D is on one drive, and your E and F is on another. So move your swap drive onto your E or your F drive on a separate connector, because it talks to the motherboard in a different sequence, and so therefore improves your performance.
Right, and it doesn't have to say, oh, excuse me for a moment, I have to go visit the swap file now. It can do that separately at the same time.
There you go.
Very cool. If you want to know more about it, it's all on the website, callforhelptv.com, as are all of Andy's tips. Now, one more chance to take our quiz. I want you to go to the website and answer this question to get into our contest. You might win a nice prize for yourself. Our question of the day, what does D2D stand for? Does it stand for data to disk, disk to disk, dusk to dawn, or is it that Star Wars robot, C-3PO and D2D? Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh, they were cute. We'll be right back.
What happens if you stick your head in here?
Welcome back to Call for Help. Before the break, we asked you what D2D stands for. Disk to disk. It's what is that, Mikey? Is that for that's for copying CDs?
This is disk file transfer.
Disk file transfer.
Yeah.
From one disk to the other, that would be disk
Correct.
to disk.
Disk to disk.
Okay.
It's a term in Wikipedia.
Thank you, Mikey.
Nice.
Time for another call. Amber, you got another call for us?
Yeah, we have another call. We have Gerald from Sydney, Nova Scotia on the line.
Hey, Gerald, how are you today?
Not too bad, Leo. Yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. You know, when you copy a file from one disk to another, you know what that's called?
I don't know. Copy a file from one disk to another, I guess.
Oh, yeah, well, that'd be one way you could call it, or disk to disk, yeah. What can I do for you?
Well, I got a system. My motherboard and CPU I bought in roughly August of 2001.
Yeah.
It's an AMD Athlon 1200. It served me well the last 3 years.
Yes.
And I heard about a new motherboard out there by Intel and maybe another manufacturer that has the onboard video as well as the CPU.
It's all on board.
All on board.
Yeah. Well, that's not. I mean,
the cost with that there, and if it's.
Do you mean that the chip is actually embedded in the board, or is it?
As far as I know, I hear it's the same as in the old days.
Yeah, I think probably what they mean is that, and this is the trend in low-cost PCs now. They put the sound, they put often networking, and they put video all on one big circuit board, so you don't have additional add-in cards.
Right.
And that is fine in most cases. You know, we're just talking to a guy who has a Dell Dimension 2400. He has that issue because he's got motherboard video. Problem in his case is there was no slot for an additional video card, so he was stuck with that motherboard video.
Yeah.
Now, if they have slots, if they have an AGP slot, or if they have PCI Express on these newer ones, if they have PCI Express slots, then I wouldn't worry about it. If you wanted to upgrade, it's easy enough to add one.
Right.
It's going to save you money, and in many cases, frankly, I think certainly the onboard audio and the onboard networking, that's great. That's going to save you money and complexity, and that's going to work great.
Right.
Onboard video is the only one where it's a little bit of an issue. I don't think that's a big problem. I think as long as they have a slot for an external video card so that you could upgrade it down the road, an AGP slot, then I would say don't worry about it.
Yeah, the reason I'm asking is because I'm thinking about upgrading to a 128 megabyte card to a video card.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point, I have a young daughter here, 19 months old, and she's going to be into that soon, I guess.
Yeah, not too long, really.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough, you know, by the time they're 3 or 4, they start playing these games. And yes, by then, I think you will want a high-end video card. So, yeah, I would look for that, Gerald. Okay to get onboard video. It's not great for gaming. It's not going to be great for, you know, three-dimensional stuff. But it'll be fine until she gets a little bit older. And make sure you have one that has a slot.
Yeah.
By then, I think you probably have other choices.
I think, or I don't know.
Hey, I really appreciate your calling, Gerald. It's great to hear from you.
Thank you for taking my call, Leo.
What's your daughter's name?
Sarah.
Well, I bet Sarah's as cute as a button. Send us a picture. We'll put her up on our Hall of Fame, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I'd love to get that. Thank you, Gerald.
Okay, thank you very much.
Send it to me, Leo at callforhelptv.com. Are you embarrassed that your downward dog isn't up to par? Is your Warrior 2 stance lacking stretch and strength? Well, now you can do your yoga in your living room. Amber's going to show us how. She's actually signing up for classes, live classes from New York City here in... How do you do that?
It's pretty easy, actually. The site is called newyorkyoga.com, and you can go there and you can sign up and you can take a live class. So they have a studio in New York City and they have a webcam, and you're able to actually watch them do yoga and the instructor in a class, and you're able to join in. You can do live or
do you pay for that?
Yeah, you pay for that. It's $3.99 a class. Or you can do, or it's $8 a month for on-demand yoga. And what on-demand yoga is classes that they've already done and they've recorded, and you're able to download them so you can do them on your own time.
So you'd get a month. That's cheap if you just got a month.
It's so cheap. I mean, you know, just to give it a point of comparison, it's almost $20 sometimes for some of the some of the really good yoga studios. So this allows you to go and do yoga anywhere in your house.
I love it. Can we do some?
Yeah, we can definitely
What's
do
the video look like? Is it pretty good?
All right, we'll show it to you. Hold on a sec. And the best thing about it is if you don't have time to go travel to a class, you'll be able to...
New York Yoga's on-demand streaming series.
You got a good one, huh?
Yeah. They all start like this.
Click on the mouse.
So this isn't live. This is a pre-taped one.
This is pre-taped, but they have tons of classes. They have 50, 60 classes a month. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually do this class.
Should we do this class?
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Hey, let's do it.
Yeah,
Andy, come here. Help me move this table out of the way. We're going to do yoga, ladies and gentlemen, live on national television. Andy, Amber, and Leo.
Let me just...
What are they going to be doing?
All right, we're just going to get this to go full screen.
Full screen video. All right, get in your position, Popeye. Okay, wait a minute.
Your feet.
Amber, you have to help us.
Yep, I'm
Should we do that?
Yeah, we're going to start this.
Yeah, right.
Actually, let me get my yoga mat.
You need a mat. What about us?
You guys don't get a mat.
Right leg back.
Right leg back.
Hands where they are.
Hands where they are. They're right here.
So let's try to go like this.
All right. Oh. Oh, God. Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, lean over.
Good.
Okay, what are we doing?
Just stay like this.
I'm out of here. No, okay. That was like a runner's lunge.
Exhale.
All right.
Put your hands down.
Hands down.
Downward facing dog.
And then take
Oh, yeah,
like
I've done this before. Yeah, I used to do this in the frat. Okay. All right.
When you were in
Let's stay like this.
We'll be right back with a little bit more. I'm going to call for help in just a moment. Stay right here. All right, I got it. Oh. Hey, Andy, you got furry feet.
I know.
Wow. Downward facing dog on the TV. That's the first time, I think.
I've never seen so many sweaty people.
So many painful grimaces, so many screams. That was cool, though. That's a neat site.
It's a really, really great site, and like I said, it's great if you don't want to go to a class and you want to try yoga and you're a beginner, or if you're an advanced user, they have lots of advanced classes as well. Yeah. It's really fun. It's less expensive than going to the studio, too. Yeah, it's really cool.
You see, you learn so many things here on this show. You never thought you'd learn. I bet if I pushed you over, you just stay there. Oh, my God. It's like one of those bobble-headed dolls.
Andy's stuck in that
It's
position.
an Andy
That's
doll.
not good.
I'm going to hear the next show and the show after that.
That's not so good.
Oh, okay. I'm just going
my hobbit
to stretch my legs out here. Well, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say except if you want to be on the show, if you want to host this show, please come to the website. Callforhelptv.com is the address, and you just click on the link right there, and you can fill out a form. Please do put your phone number in and your availability, what operating system you use. We need those. It helps us get the calls arranged ahead of time. I have to actually, a lot of times we don't use calls if we don't have your phone number because we can't get a hold of you. We got to get a hold of you, right? Can't answer a call by email.
Yeah.
Hey, I wonder if we lost any water in this whole thing.
You want to get the water scale?
Yeah.
Go get the water scale.
Okay, hang on. We'll be right back.
That's a good idea.
As long as we're in good shape. And if you want to email us, Amber at callforhelptv.com, Leo at callforhelptv.com, or Andy at callforhelp. What is this now?
It's like the Tanita body fat.
Now, I've seen the ones where you analyze your body fat. Does that actually work?
Yeah, it does. It's
Does
kind of,
it?
give her a take a
Step
couple
on it. Let's see. Yeah, but she's got zero.
Well, her. But also,
no. You have to say
what's cool about this? What's cool about this is it actually calculates your water composition too.
Yeah.
So if you're gaining water weight,
right? So you can say I'm not.
Well, go ahead.
getting
Let's try it. Let's try it. Do I have to take off my shoes?
Yeah.
Well, what would happen if I wore shoes?
It wouldn't work because it runs electricity through your body.
Oh, that's nice.
You can do it with your hands.
All right, let's see.
Do your hands.
Let's see. You have lots of water. All right, anyway, that's it for this edition of Call for Help, and I'm glad you tuned in. Aren't you glad? Make sure. Oh, it's an error. Get on it. Stand on it.
Yeah, you're going to have to stand on it.
All right. Look how hairy his feet are. All right, look at a hobbit here as my co-host. Remember, if you've got a problem with your personal confuser, don't whine, don't moan, don't yell. Just call for help. You have 30%.
Guessed. I don't know.
What does that mean?
Memory. I don't know.
Well, you got to learn how it works before you can bring the thing on.
It's an athlete mode or something like that.
Athlete something. They got your feet. Now do the pose.
Nice.
We'll see you later. Oh.